Well, when you sign with him, the business is going to be doing kind of like a run rate of like its monthly that it does. You're going to structure this agreement because you're positioning yourself to grow the business. And so you're going to want a base pay just to be there for your time and your efforts. And if the business grows, you want a percentage of the upside. What you want to do is benchmark his business, which is what do you do without my interaction, just without me providing any value to you? What does your business do? Okay, it does maybe 150, maybe 200,000 a month. Okay, so I'm 5,000 a month. And then for everything over 200,000 over your benchmark, that's when I'll take an override. Or they could say, hey, I just want to get to
Okay.
like, I want to get to 300,000. Okay. So your business is benchmark at 200. I'm going to get you to 300,000 and you're going to pay me 5,000 a month for my time in that. And then every percentage or every dollar amount over 300,000, I get a percentage of, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Okay. So just let's say, and for example, like let's say like the business is consistently doing at least 100K a month. Then let's
Mhm.
say I was able to get another, let's say grow it to 150,
Mhm.
then I could get basically that difference for that 50K and that 10%, so 5K basically.
Yeah. Yes, you could.
Yeah. How do you decide on a benchmark then?
So this is where the first piece, which is what week would you say you're in inside of the program?
I went through like pretty much everything actually.
Okay, great. So in week four, we talk about the client diagnosis. Pretty much you do the client diagnosis for last month, and I would benchmark it off of that. Because if like you want to try to beat their best, and if their best was at a specific time and it wasn't that good, it's like I benchmark it being optimistic. So, okay, your business when you did your best was doing this amount. So let's beat that. If you wanted to, you could audit backwards in time. What you're going to find is most people don't have that data. Like they're not that clean and that they're not that organized in terms of the P&L. So you could benchmark it just off of before you joined, which was the month's data, which is what you're going to use to grow the business.
Which, I think that's pretty much it. I think just a good retainer also would be based on how much you're doing with your business. Um, but I think I'm still not clear with how much retainer I should be charging though. Like, is it depending on the margins or?
Yeah, so personally, if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't worry about a percentage of upside. I just want fixed amounts at certain like growth intervals. So it's like I would prefer, I don't want to like, because the thing is like if the business does like 2,000, like if, let's say the business is benchmark at 100 and 1 month it does 1,265. Then you have to sit there and do like calculation with him over what exactly is 10% of that down to like the dollar or like to the cent, right? And then they're gonna have to pay that to you. I would much rather just say, hey, if your business hits 150, then my retainer goes from 5,000 to 6,000. If it's 200, it goes from 6,000 to 7,000, and so on and so forth. That just prevents you from feeling a lot of the volatility that comes in sort of it just removes the need to think or have to do like much more calculation on what the business did.
Okay, okay. So,
Mhm.
um, for example, let's say the business is doing 100K a month, profit margin
Mhm.
6%, so they're doing
Mhm.
60K a month. What's a good base pay that I can charge? Good retainer I can charge.
Um, I would shoot for 5,000 a month. So what I would say is like, look, for me to do something like this, like this is what I would pitch verbatim. So for me to do something like this, it's 120,000 for the year, which is 10,000 a month broken over 12 months. But we haven't done business before. So let's do 5,000 a month for the first 2 months, which is half of what that amount is. And that 10K difference will pay at the end of the year. And we'll do 5K a month for the first 2 months, see how we like each other, or first 3 months, see how we like each other. And then we'll step up to 10,000 for every month after that, assuming things are going good and growing. And then at that third month mark or second month mark, by the time you're about to step up your base, depending on how well the business is growing, that's when you can renegotiate something in the middle, such as like, okay, so I'm seeing that if I double my retainer, I haven't necessarily doubled the value that I've created for the business. Like I go from 5 to 10, but your business didn't go from 1 to 2. So let's do 10% of everything over 100K. So that's where you can kind of like have that conversation. But I'm just trying to get him to pay now. What you could also do is if you say, you could structure this a couple different ways where it's like, okay, it's 5,000 a month for 3 months, but if you want to pay, or 5,000 a month for the first 2 months, then we step up to 10. If you want to pay the first 2 months up front, it could be 8K, and then you just get a higher cash amount now, and maybe you skip that monthly cash flow. So that's where it's kind of like closing a service deal, if that makes sense.
Is there a specific reason why it comes to override? It's specifically you're charging the difference, I guess.
How do you mean?
Like for example, like let's say the benchmark is 100K a month, right?
Hmm.
And why not just charge a 10% commission on the 100K a month already? I guess the total revenue generated and stuff like um,
Because, yeah, so just saying, why don't I start in at
deducted on
10%?
the benchmark.
Deducted on the benchmark. You could test that. What I'm gonna see as a concern is they're trying to pay you fair value for what you bring to the table. So
Okay.
they won't necessarily, or at least in my experience, I don't know if they would see it as fair for you to come in and take 10% of what they're already doing.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, you don't want to position it as like, let me profit off the growth you've already done. It's like, I'm going to bring things to you that are going to help you grow, but that comes at a price tag. So it could be 10K, and they're going to be like, well, what am I paying 10K for? Well, I'm going to have to overhaul your systems, overhaul this, hire new people, train new people, set up a cadence, redevelop your CRM, your sales process, talk with you about marketing. Oh, now I get what I'm paying you 10K for. You could do, hey, we're going to do 10% of what the business is, but the challenge becomes every single month now you're going to have to sit there with the business owner and agree on how much the business did cash in and cash out. And that's just a conversation that, depending on the sophistication of the business owner, they don't really like to have.
Okay. Cool.
Depends on the business owner. I'm not saying all of them, but on average, I find that if you really pin the business owner down and tell them to look at their numbers and say, okay, 10% of that is mine, you could go either way. I'm not saying this necessarily right or wrong, but I just don't want to be subjected to the volatility of the business's growth. I just want fixed cash coming month.
Okay. Cool.